Welcome to Own Your Essence, the podcast where healing meets empowerment. We're your host
Lee Walzak.
and April DeMille, two psychic mediums and a life coach specializing in grief, trauma, and toxic relationship recovery. This is a space for deep conversations, powerful transformations, and real, raw healing.
Each week, we'll explore topics ranging from the metaphysical to emotional grief, addiction, mental health, spiritual wellness, and self discovery. Through interviews and personal insights, we aim to spread awareness, foster connection, and support you. You're in the right place if you're ready to set boundaries, reclaim your confidence, and step into your true power. Let's own your essence together.
Podcast disclaimer. The content of this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as medical, psychological, or legal advice. If you need medical or mental health support, please contact a qualified healthcare provider. This podcast also contains explicit language and discussions on sensitive topics, including but not limited to abuse, trauma, addiction, and mental health struggles. Listener discretion is advised, as some content may be triggering or not suitable for younger audiences. By continuing to listen, you acknowledge and accept these terms. And as always, thank you for tuning in. Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Own Your Essence podcast, where we get to have deep transformational conversations with some of our favorite people. We are your hosts,
Lee Walzak.
and April DeMille. And I'm going to let Lee take it from here.
So we have a pretty cool guest today. She is new to both me and April, but her name is Ashley Mondor, and she is a heart-centered healer, intuitive guide, and host of two podcasts, which is impressive. The Free Your Heart podcast and Insightful with Ashley Mondor. For over 8 years, she's guided hundreds through powerful journeys of healing, self-discovery, and expansion. So sounds pretty awesome.
Nice. And also, I'm super like low key jealous because she's doing two podcasts. I can barely keep my shit together with one. Did you hear that? Did you
That
hear
was
that, Ashley?
my cackle came out. Thank you for that.
So funny. I'm like, how do you do all this, girl? Magical
Oh,
lady.
thank you.
Magic.
Oh my God. Well, I will say one podcast is like you listen to it by joining my email list, and it's because I'm completely, totally unfiltered, raw. I don't edit. Like my brain will blank, and I'm like, oh, fuck it. I'm keeping it in there. Too bad.
Oh
So,
my God. You just became my fucking hero.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me
Um,
here, by the way. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, we're so
yes,
excited
thank
to
you.
have you.
Yeah, welcome to Own Your Essence. Um, did you want to get started, April, or do you want me to take it off?
I kind of
Okay.
want to talk about
Yeah.
some of the information from your drop form actually. Like you talked about the infidelity and how that played a role in um being more aware of your abilities. And I really want to get into that because I have a lot of similar background.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. This, like, what a way to jump in, right? Like,
Yeah.
let's talk
Like I'm
about
like,
pain and trauma.
let's get into
Let's
the
just go
deep
for
shit
it.
right away. Go for it.
Yes. Okay. So, thank you for having me here and thank you for opening with this. I will say, so it's really interesting. I think I can share this, but my mom was married, then got a divorce, then she remarried this man who later found out, I think, that he is a narcissist. Like he hits the markers for it, man. I've never experienced someone like that. So while she was going through this, I watched her get cheated on for years. And I always thought to myself, what? Why would you do that? Why would you stay? And
Mm-hmm.
I thought I would never put up with
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then I meet this man through a job that I was in, and I fell head over heels. He was like the opposite of the man that I had been with previously, who I was engaged to, I was like, this is no longer in resonance. I just can't. So I met this man, and he was so smart, and he said all the right things, and he was this like masculine energy, super driven, owns his own business, all this stuff. So I'm with him and learning so much about myself, right? And also now I know I put up with things that were complete total red flags. Like, as an example, he would show me something on his phone, but he always had to hold it. I was never allowed to really hold it.
Oh
Or if
yeah.
I did, one time I was looking at it and he ripped the phone away, and I was like, I've never done that to you. Like, what the fuck is that?
Well, right, and
So,
that's a little violent.
yeah, so violent. I had no idea though, you know.
Yeah.
Also, I grew up in
Well,
a
you don't, it's one
household.
of those things where you don't know till you know.
Right, totally. They say, like when you wear rose-colored glasses, you can't see the red flags, right? Because they match that vibration. You can see what you can't see. But I remember being like, oh, that's alarming and weird and different. And then he just was so busy, man. Like there were so many times he put himself before me. I always would go above and beyond, try to be there at his events, try to help him build his website, his business, all this stuff. Like because I have the skills, you know? And I'm like, well, I might as well put it to good use because I love this man. So
Well,
one of
that's
the,
part of being like a fucking partner,
yeah,
like, being a good partner, like, is being supportive and doing all the things. So that's what you think to do.
totally. Thank you. Right. I was like, what am I doing wrong here? I'm being the one, you know? So I'm going through this process and things are starting to feel a little bit off for me. Like even my family and friends are starting to notice it and they're like, we don't think this is like the vibe. And I was like, no, it's like we're working on it, we're talking about it, blah, 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 blah. And there comes a point where he says or does something, and I'm driving home from work in traffic. I'm already pissed because it's been like an hour in traffic, and I'm like, something is so off. So I'm sitting there gripping the wheel, and I'm like, hey, spirit guides, if he's cheating on me, can you please make it abundantly clear, like
Yeah.
so clear that I can't even miss it, right?
Yeah.
And immediately my entire crown tingles, and
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I'm like
Yeah.
that's just me talking to myself, even though my spirit guides communicate in that way, right? One of the
Right.
ways. So flash forward like a month later, I go to open my fridge because I'm going to get something and I'm about to head out to an event where he is to support him. And he texts me a screenshot, but he texted it so fast that it had the picture that said like, "Hey babe, when do I get to meet you?" And it
Oh
was this
no.
unknown number, and I was like, "I no one calls you that but me." And it had been like 3 years at this point, you know? And in
Right.
that moment, I like I felt so validated, but it took so many times of me like moving beyond my intuition, pushing past my
Yeah.
doubts and all that stuff, you know? And now that was one of the catalysts to make me realize like when something is off, it's off.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So that was one of the and then it was a whole journey of having him actually come out and tell me the truth. I had to connect with a woman that he was with for almost a year, that he was lying to her and to me and all this stuff. It was a whole thing. But on the now that I'm here where I am literally with the most incredible man of my entire life. Oh my God. Like this man was made for me. I understand that I had to go through that entire experience so that I could actually walk in my power, know what I'm worthy of, speak up for my truth, you know. How does my intuition speak to me, stuff like that. So, April, I'm curious. You said that you had a
Yeah,
similar
I mean,
background.
lucky for you, I feel like you had a situation that at least you got some closure and he even admitted his parts. My situation was not like that. I was gaslit to the very fucking end, 4 years of pure hell and misery. And I mean, absolutely, I can't. So this might bother a few people, and I really don't care if it does. Like the fact is, he was a stone cold narcissist, undiagnosed, because never going to seek treatment kind of thing. I'm not the fucking problem, that kind of person.
Hmm.
Um, but I know what I know. At the end of the day, I know, especially now, right? Like I've actually gone and gotten certifications, and I'm an expert in this shit now. So fuck off. Like I know what narcissism is, and I know what the tactics are. Even if you're not a diagnosed narcissist, you can still have narcissistic traits and behaviors from co-narcissism and the way you were raised and your work environment. So I still know what the traits are now. So I can still sit here with zero guilt and say that motherfucker was he was something else. And so I went through things that were very similar in the sense that I was still trying to wrap my brain around the fact that I was a psychic medium. I wasn't even at a place where I was okay with that yet. I didn't even come out publicly as a psychic medium until 2017. So I'm 46 years old. I was like 36 or 38 when I finally admitted it to myself and to the world, right? It took me that long. Lots of factors played into that, of course. So I was like a closet psychic. Closet psychic medium is what I'll call it, you know. So it took a lot for me to come out with that. So when all this was happening, it was during that same transformation. And it was also after I lost my youngest child. So I was grieving, I was being abused by all the people around me, including some of my family members. And I was talk about dark night of the soul. It was the most intense thing I think I'd gone through. And, you know, so it was crazy. So, but I will say coming out of it, in retrospect, I can look back and see where I had all the knowledge the whole time, but you don't know to look for a red flag if you don't know what a red flag is, right? So if you don't even know what a red flag is, how the fuck are you going to spot it? Whether it's in front of your face or 10 miles away, you're not going to know, right? My natural environment and upbringing was full of red flags. So that's all I knew. So to me, that didn't seem weird or out of place. That was my normal,
Mhm.
right? So until you're able to step out of that and see what healthy green flags are, you don't know how to label a red flag, right? It doesn't even occur to you. So I understand that I had to go through all those things as well to make that shift, but fuck, it sucks.
Oh my God, preach.
It's
And
so
I
miserable.
and I don't know about you, but when now my fiance, his name's Nikolai, when he walked into my life, he was so healthy and grounded
Hmm.
that my nervous system was like, this is unsafe. He's gonna lie to
Yeah,
you, he's gonna cheat
yeah.
on you, he's gonna say all the things you want to hear, and then he's gonna do these, and you're gonna be fucked. And it hasn't happened because I've had to do a lot of shadow work around that, but man, it's taken me years.
Yeah, and it makes sense that your triggers would be because you haven't had experience with anything healthy in a relationship since the last thing, right? So now you have to practice what you preach. So of course your triggers are going to be irritated, right? And
Mhm.
so I'm glad that you're doing the work though. I've actually been single 11 years. So so I'm putting blasting all my personal information out there. But like I went on a whole full journey after my daughter's death and being in really bad relationships. And I realized that I was the common denominator, right? And all these bad, not so fun stories, I was a fucking common denominator. So that means what in me was broken that I kept attracting these unavailable people, whether it was romantic, friendship, bosses, family, whatever. I had to really focus on that and figure out what the fuck to fix, like where do I put these pieces together? How do I make this look different? And so the first few years of that journey, I was still kind of toying with the idea of dating, but no committed relationships. And still now it's 11 years later. And I will wait another 11 years if that's as long as it takes. Like, whatever the fuck it's going to take, I'm not going to settle.
Oh, God, it feels like me. I just have to say, April, like, oh my God. Because after dating that man, I took 2 years. I was like, I'm gonna date myself for 2 years. I don't give a fuck. It's all about me. I'm gonna focus on all my wounds. I'm gonna take myself on dates. I'm gonna figure out who I really am. And through that entire process, I realized I would rather be my own soul's mate and walk
Yeah.
through life alone till the end of my days. I would rather be with myself and be my own best friend and take myself on the journey of a lifetime. And someone would have to match me at that level
Hmm.
of worthiness and
Yeah.
love, right? Like, and it's not to say like we don't have our stuff because we do. That's why relationships can be incredible for healing and shadow work and all of that. But like, that was the best, man, because I had no idea how incredible I truly am and what I bring to relationships until I was alone.
Right. And that's kind of part of my journey was so a little backtracking. I also spent 6 years celibate, like stone cold. Like, so when I say celibate, people might just think not dating or not being sexually active with others. No, I mean no sexual relations, even with myself. Like I was doing the full on nun thing, like Catholic nun, monk, whatever you want to do, right? Because I still knew that I had a very unhealthy relationship around sex and shame and all the things. And so until I could even trust my own instincts around sex at all, I was going to just cut myself off of it completely. And that served a purpose. It definitely was very empowering. But it also came to a place where it was counterproductive. And I started having health issues for spending so much time in celibacy. Yeah, it's so I got to a place where I realized I was actually hurting myself a lot. But it's almost like if you just stop eating one day, right? And you can only go so far without doing that. So that's a whole nother topic. But I will say it was a big part of my story, and it definitely gave me a chance to get to know myself and get to know my strength and my power and what I'll accept and what I will not accept. And so again, it just kind of like this is where I'm at, and unless somebody can match that, then this is where I stay.
Yes. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, by all means.
When you were walking your celibacy journey, what was the catalyst for you to turn back and be like, this is at this point, I know it's no longer healthy or the right direction to continue to move towards?
Right. So it's a fucking great question because I think a lot of people would be like, what would change that? Well, it was, I want to say in 2022, I realized I couldn't be celibate forever. I had a body to take care of and it was failing me. I had a prolapsed uterus, like all kinds of like health issues were happening around my femalehood, right? Even around my abundance and my money and my finances, like the creativity had been blocked because I wasn't moving the energy, right? And I had decided to just cut off a part of my humanness, which is impossible to do without repercussions. So I started suffering in other ways. And I knew that I had to make a decision to pretty much remove the chastity belt, but I was terrified to fucking do it. So fucking scared. I knew it was the one thing I needed to do. And it was 6 years. At that point, it was 5 years into the journey. And I was so fucking afraid because I still had all this shame and stuff around sex and just my childhood and things that had happened. So I actually ended up having to work with a practitioner um, to help me move that block because I was so afraid. But I also knew that if I didn't remove that block, I was going to stay in that energy and keep having issues because I had reached a point where I had done everything I could do on my own. And until you can put those things into practice, you're not going to grow anymore. So I wasn't growing. I was just the dark little seed in the dirt, but I wasn't going to bud, you know? Like that's as far as it was going to go until I could practice what I preached. And you can't do that unless you're actually interacting and having experiences and things like that that were so terrifying, right? And
Mhm.
so I had to get a practitioner to help me move through that. I did a very powerful session with her, and it did help me move through that a lot. But it was terrifying. And I'm still, I mean, even still, even still to this day, I still have to work on triggers for sure.
Yeah. That's so cool. Like, and also what divine timing when you think about how uh we're here reclaiming feminine energy, right? Like the womb is a portal of creation
Right,
and
right,
you get to have that. Like,
right.
and you're stepping into it and owning it. I love
I
it.
will say this, I will say that after that session happened, my life dramatically changed even when it came to finances. Like all that creative fucking energy that was so pent up just kind of, it distributed, I think, a little better the way it should have been. And so there's been a lot more movement in my life in those other areas.
Yes. Sacred sexuality for
I'm
sure.
telling you.
Yeah. And orgasm is like bliss, you know? Like we
So,
get to
like, have you ever read that meme when it's like, I think it says, if I tell you to get fucked, it's because I care.
No. Oh my God, I love that.
It's
It is
great.
medicine.
It
Yes.
is. If I
Mm.
tell you to go fuck yourself, it's because I love you. It's because I give a shit.
Huh. Quote. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Lee, I know you have some input on this.
I do. Yeah, I'm just kind of listening and processing. Uh, I mean, it's an uncomfortable. I'll be transparent with everyone. It's an uncomfortable conversation for me because I have been there, and I think I'm still processing through my own stuff even after years. I
Yeah.
think stuff still continues to come up, but I do agree that it does bring you to a point going through something like that where you really either it's kind of like you have two options. You can stay in whatever toxic situation that you're in, or you can kind of look at some of the things in yourself that maybe you're avoiding, and then take control of the situation and figure out how to navigate that in a way that resonates with you. Um, and um, and I will echo what both of you said. I think it really has brought me personally to a point where I you know, acknowledge and have healed certain things within myself. And I heard an interesting quote one time. I think it was Lee Harris that said this. If not, I don't know. I don't know who it was. Sorry. Um, but something about how empaths and narcissists or narcissistic leaning people and empathic leaning people tend to attract each other because they're both in search of self-love and it's just manifesting very differently. So a narcissist, feels very disconnected from self-love and is obviously manifesting that behavior in a completely different way than an empath might. But an empath or an empathetic or hypersensitive person might be staying in a relationship looking for some validation to translate into self-love. And I'm not going to say that's true for everybody. I'm not going to speak on everyone's behalf, but I know for me, that was very true. It was a sense of like I wanted validation from somebody else, something externally. And it's funny because now when I think about like, oh, maybe I should like reach out to this person that I know I should not reach out to, you know what I mean? Because it still circulates sometimes. But the answer I always have for myself now is I love myself too much now to do that. Um, and and so it has there's I find it helpful to find purpose in kind of going through the experience, and I'm not trying to negate that it sucks and it's terrible when you're going through it, but for me that's just helpful. So I appreciate
Mm.
all of what you shared, Ashley, so thank you. Yeah.
Oh, I feel that. Especially the part of you that's like, "Oh, that was safe. That's how I got that exchange, that energy, that validation, that whatever." And then you're like, the conscious part of you is like, "Wait, remember." Like, and you honor it, you know? That's how you break patterns. I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
thank you.
I also Lee, I want to add to that you talked about, narcissists and empaths attract each other in a sense. And I'm not so first of all, I'm not going to put that out there and just affirm that for the world, but
Sure.
I will say in my experience it was pretty true as well because as an empath and as somebody that had grown up in abusive um homes and things like that, I had serious codependent issues and all kinds of stuff happening. So what that meant was I was really needing to be needed. I really needed to be seen and feel important because I had zero worth in myself. And that does attract a lot of the same frequencies that a narcissist has. And they love to need people because that's how they get supply. So it works very well in situations like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I feel that. I think too, also, only because it's been a stretch of time now, at least for me, I can absolutely receive all of the gifts that I got from that relationship because I am so different now. I would not be who I am without even like there were beautiful parts of it, like learning about business and learning about strength and learning how I can speak to people from a place of authority, all of that stuff. And also, now I hold people as clients who are struggling with infidelity, those who are cheating and those who are being cheated on, like I can see the different perspectives. I hold a different space because of my embodiment. And I wonder if, those things are also true for you. The things you've navigated are the things that you can help people with.
Um, I mean, I can definitely say so, Lee.
Yeah, 100%. I
Yeah.
I always say that the things, the journeys that I've walked are the things that I most successfully seem to be able to help people with. So, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Good point.
I can say that I get to reach a certain audience or clientele that I wouldn't be able to reach otherwise had I not had those experiences. Um, and I can also say at the end of the day, no matter how shitty a person has done me, and I've been through it all, right? I've even been cut with knives. So I've been through a ton of shit, all kinds of physical abuse, mental, I've seen it all, right? So at the end of the day, I can honestly say that my heart is still so fucking big, and I can honor that person's um, position in my story. And um, no matter how much pain was involved in that story, I can still say, I see you. I acknowledge your part. And honestly, I almost have to say that's a lot of love, because to hold that fucking part in my story, to be that villain, I'll just say villain for that, for the time being, for the sake of argument, right? To be that villain, that's a pretty big fucking job to have. Can you imagine like having to play that part? Like what a huge badge of courage. Sorry. Like let just on a universal note, like that's a big badge of courage. It takes a lot to play that story or play that player in anyone's story. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for setting me on my path. Thank you for showing me how to fucking see straight. Um, Now fuck off. Like I love you, but fuck off. Like I love you and end of story. Like I love you from way the fuck over here, right? Like so thank you for playing your part.
You should put that on a shirt, April. I love you, but fuck off,
For real. I'm gonna make some merchandise over here.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my God, I agree. Like loving from a distance, totally.
Oh yeah, totally.
Hmm. Mm.
Um, I think that's beautiful, though. What you said, April, I think that is beautiful. Yeah. Um, I was curious to pivot directions if it's cool for a second, Ashley, but um, I wanted to share this question and also share a bit of an experience I had uh, in your energy field, because I did look you up on Instagram before we did this and everything. I like to just kind of get a feel for who I'm gonna, sit with and talk to and all that.
Lee is
And immediately,
he's our private eye and he's amazing at
yeah,
his job.
thank you. In there, so I'll say this: I was in a super heavy energy this afternoon. I felt myself really called to move some energy today, which I definitely have, and now feel much lighter. But in this moment, for context, I was in a super heavy energy, and I'm like, "What is happening?" But it happened to be the time that I was looking through your Instagram and all that. Which, in retrospect, I'm like, maybe I should have waited, but it worked out the way it's supposed to, because I came across a post and you were talking about how you had this thought about really wanting to like reach like hundreds of thousands of people in order to make an impact, um and then you had this experience with this man who, can I tell the whole experience, or
Yeah,
would you
do
mind?
it.
Okay. So you had this experience where you were on a walk, I believe, and you're walking your dog, and this man noticed, and he was like, "Oh, can I pet your dog?" And starts petting your dog, and he basically shares with you at the end of that conversation that your dog reminded him of a dog he had lost recently, and that it really um, helped him in some way. And so I thought that was just like a beautiful story. And what I noticed about that was that that story brought me right back into my heart center, like instantly. I'm in this heavy energy, and all of a sudden I'm like, there it like shuttles you right back into your heart space.
Mhm.
Um, which I wanted to share because I thought that was beautiful. So thank you for sharing that story. And also, it prompted the question for me: do you have any kind of go-to tools for when you're in like a heavier place or you're feeling really challenged to kind of get back into that heart space? Because I feel like that's such a prevalent thing right now, where a lot of people, for whatever reasons, different reasons, same reasons, are feeling heaviness and are feeling maybe hopeless or whatever it might be. So I was interested if you could speak to that. What are your kind of go-tos to get back into that space?
Oh my God. This is my jam. Holy balls. Thank you. Um, Firstly, because my purpose on the planet is to be a heart healer, and I now know why. And it's because where consciousness is moving from is through your heart, right? Like that is oneness, that is honoring someone like you were talking about the villain, It's loving the villain for their soul, even if their behaviors and actions are terrible, So thank you. And also for reading my story. I thank you so much because I was so spinning the fuck out in my brain, like I want to touch as many people as possible. I want them to love themselves. I want them to know how powerful they are. Like, oh my God, you are a soul on the planet right now for a reason. And I get so lost in like I don't want to do a TED Talk. How am I going to be a New York Times bestselling author if I'm still afraid to write books? All this stuff. And that moment made me realize like you make a difference right where you are. It's your heart that literally makes a difference, and you are specifically where you're meant to be for a reason.
Yeah.
But capitalism and shit tells you all these things, like you got to have all the money to have the impact, and it's simply not true. So, for your question, Lee, thank you for asking. I actually learned this through the Heart Math Institute. Do you know who they are?
I'm vaguely familiar.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not. I'll have to look that one up.
Okay, I made that weird. Sorry. I'm so pumped about this. So, they are doing research on the heart, and the heart is this incredible vortex, and it creates your toroidal field of energy, right? So, it's what people feel when you're in their presence, and your heart can quite literally raise the frequency of an entire room and people's spheres around you.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right. So I learned this through them, and it's something I do every day, without a doubt. And like you said, when you're feeling out of sorts, you're not grounded, you're in heavier, denser energies, this is my tool that I go to. So what I do is I have my feet flat on the floor and I put my hands on my heart and I close my eyes and I take a nice deep inhale in through my nose and then I exhale out through my nose for like twice as long. So usually for a count of like 5 in.
Do you do kind of like box breathing?
No, kind of.
Okay, just your own
It's
form.
the only thing, the difference with this is that when you exhale out for like say you inhale for 10 or 5, you exhale out for 10. When
Okay.
you do that,
Huh.
it actually shifts you into your parasympathetic nervous system, right? So
Okay.
you're already grounded.
Mhm.
The key to this though, at least for me, is that when you have your hands on your heart, you're bringing your awareness, you're focusing your attention to your gateway to your soul. When you actually take the time to feel into your heart and imagine your breath is moving in and out of your heart space, imagining it maybe expanding or maybe like your hand is coming through, your soul is coming through to touch your hand, you're coming into coherence, which means your brain and your heart are aligned. And my favorite thing then is I start pulling up pictures or memories in my brain of like, I have 3 cats and 2 dogs. So I start pulling up pictures of them in my brain, memories of things that, where I like felt joy, like when my fiance surprised me in Ireland and proposed in this botanical gardens. I pull that up and immediately I feel a shift. And it's because you're changing your frequency. So that's my favorite thing. And then outside of that, I dance like a wild woman,
Nice.
like good, gotta move your body. But for you, Lee, like, what do you do?
I think I love that, by the way. Thank you for sharing. And I've heard that breath described as a vagal breath.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the proper name or not, but I think it helps stimulate the vagus nerve, which is, what you're talking about to the parasympathetic. Um, I think for me, and thanks for asking, I think I'm called to do different things at different times. Like today, shortly after going through the Instagram and I'm just like, oh, there's just something. I'm like, I have to, and immediately I just got this download to like, you need to go do vigorous movement. It needs to be something that really helps get it out of your. So I actually did a lot of I don't know if there's any like actual term for this, but it's like shaking. You just kind of shake. Not exactly dance, but just kind of like shaking. And I put on like, some tribal kind of rhythmic music and it works.
You mean
Other
you had a
times,
powwow without me?
yeah, I did. I totally did. You're invited next time.
I guess.
But yeah, so sometimes it's just different. Sometimes it can be things like breathing, like you're saying. I like there's a physiological sigh breath that I like to do. It's like 2 little inhales quickly and then exhale out. I think it depends on the emotion. It depends what I feel called to, but I will share if I'm feeling specifically like I need to get into my heart center, like and some of these other things can lead us there too, of course, right? But it's always like animal videos for me, or things about animals and anything like that. Like when they they see their owner after, the videos where they see their owner after solo and they're like freaking out, and like it just gets me right back in that space. So yeah, if that answers your question. Yeah.
I love that. Also, when you were like, it depends on the emotion.
Yeah.
That's so true. Like, I don't know if you've done this, but because I grew up in a home where there was verbal and physical abuse, uh, I s- anger to me was not safe. And I learned about one of the things you can do, at least this is what I do when I'm like raging, is I'll go into my car and I'll bring my elbow up, the crease of my elbow up to my voice or whatever, and I take an inhale in and then I scream into my
Mm.
elbow. And the first time I did it, I've never cried so hard in my life. I was like, oh God, fuck, I needed to move that. That was good, you know? But like when you've been verbally abused, it's not safe to express in that way.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, but I was gonna ask, April, how do you move energy?
Um I think it just depends on what what is needed in the moment. But I would say my very first go-to, so I'm a generator. Um, and my very first go-to is to completely be by myself. Like I have got to push like I have to recharge and get back to like my baseline. And the fastest way I can do that is to unplug by myself. Like I just have to be alone. Get the fuck away from me. I don't care. I don't care who you are, how much I love you. Just get the fuck away from me. And so that's the fastest way I can get back to my baseline. And then I can go from there if I need to like ground myself out more or if I need to walk around barefoot outside or be outside. But I'm pretty active. I'm running around with kids all week and things like that. So I do a lot of things that I think keep me fairly grounded naturally. Um,
Mhm.
but if it's like, yeah, I would say that's probably my first go-to almost instantly.
I love that. Do you know what your profile lines are?
God, I don't.
Are you
I
like a
think
one,
it's
three, two, four?
no, I th- I want to say, and I could be wrong. It's either like a 6'3" or I think it's a 6'3". It's like a 6'3" or a 6'2", or maybe it bounced between the two. I can't remember, but it's six something.
Okay, cool.
And
Role model.
I have uh we have what, nine gateways. What are they? The
Gateways?
I'm saying the wrong word.
Centers?
I think
Thank
it
you.
might be. Oh, I thought it was gateways too. Okay.
I
It's
know
I
there are
no,
gates.
there's another word for it. I don't know why escapes me right now.
I'm
Um,
curious about your profile lines.
so
Spec
I have 8 activated centers out of the 9.
oh
That's what I
my
meant.
God.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So when I tell you I'm a powerhouse, like I wasn't kidding. Like I have 8 out of the 9, and the only one that's not activated is my throat. So it just means that in order for me to speak, I won't speak unless I feel like I have something to say. And I usually do better with an audience, for a need to speak. Unless that is happening, I won't really say much.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
If you find out your profile lines, I'm curious.
I
You know,
I have it in an email somewhere, so I'll let you know. Like I'll look it up and then I'll let you know what it is.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Lee, do you know what you are?
I am a manifesting generator. I don't know my profile lines,
Okay,
but I know I'm a manifesting generator. So
fire.
I have a lot of undefined. Oh God, we just used the word, but yeah, a lot of undefinedness.
Centers.
But that's about all I recall at the moment. Yeah,
Cool. I love it. Multi-passionate, multi-hyphenate person here to do many wonderful things.
Yeah,
yeah,
and also like I'm super jealous of like manifesting generators because like 2 of my kids are manifesting generators and those fuckers can absolutely just create anything they want anytime they want. And I'm like, how the fuck, dude? That cool shit skipped right over me, but whatever. That's that's
Through
another
you.
story. Yeah.
Through you.
Yeah,
It's a
it
difference.
totally did. And then like my oldest daughter, she's a projector, so she's on a different level too. So it's fascinating.
I'm a projector. I get it.
Are
Oh my
you?
God, I can
Yeah.
only imagine in a family of generators and manifesting generators. Holy buckets. Oh,
um, that's yeah. I'll have to look more into it. I don't know. I don't know too much about it for myself. Um, I did. There was one thing I just need to bring up though to pivot for a second, Ashley, um, because I saw this and I'm like, oh my God, I just need to we
Oh,
need
this
to
is
go here.
exciting.
I think I told you about it earlier,
Yeah,
April.
you
I'm
did.
like, I
I'm
want to mention
excited.
this. Um, so you have another post on your Instagram about a cat that I believe it's nicknamed Zizi, correct? Am I making that up?
Aziza,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, cool. That kind of found you, and at the time you and your fiance, I think it was, we're like, we can't really do this, and she ended up sticking around anyway. And what I found so fascinating was that you were saying that you felt like you've kind of felt her energy before. And now this is why I relate to this so much. I also have a cat, and it was the same kind of thing where she absolutely adopted me. I was never looking for a cat. I was more a dog person, no offense, but like I was just kind of like cats are great, but like I'd rather a dog, and she found me and would not leave me alone at all. But what was so interesting was I was like, why do I feel like I know her energy field? Like it feels familiar to me. Like there's some sort of connection here. So I thought that was fascinating again because there's such a parallel. And I wanted to actually ask you too what your thoughts are on that, like pets maybe coming back and finding us in different lifetimes and maybe what their purpose is here in helping us or if it's to help us. Because I'm always fascinated to hear anyone's view on this topic.
Oh my God. Let me tell you what. It's so nice to hear that you have had a similar experience because I was like, oh, fuck. We have four pets. I can't, I have a two-bedroom apartment. I can't,
You're
oh
like, we don't have space for your ass.
no,
Where we're gonna
no.
put you? Yeah.
My God. Well, and it was so weird because I would just happen to be in the room and she ran by and I was like, oh no. She was so thin, like starving to death. And by happen chance, I don't even know. I was like, Nikolai, there's a kitty outside because he loves cats. And I was like, why did I say that? Oh my God. And then she ran up to him screaming. And she was so thin. And I was like, okay, so what can we do? We bring her in and we're feeding her and we're like, oh God. And I looked at her eyes and I was like, I I know you. Like you are ancient. I feel it. I feel it in my core, when I look into her, I'm like, because I think that I've had a life in Egypt. And I know people are always like, I had a past life in Egypt. I was Cleopatra, blah, blah, blah. But so many of us are coming back on the planet because
Right.
we are anchoring certain codes and
Yeah.
rewiring things, totally. So I was like, also, you have like so many, I've never seen so many toes in my life. She has like six toes on one foot,
Oh, she's a
five on all the other.
polydactyl?
Yeah. And I'm like, ugh,
Wow.
I know she's got little thumbs. I'm
Oh,
like,
she's
what?
so cool.
Yes. So we brought her in and before her, I, Nikolai was like, let's get another kitty. And I was like, no, we're not getting another cat. But he was like, let's go to the Humane Society just for fun. And I was like, we shouldn't do that. And we did because he's persuasive.
Yeah, and
And
then you end up taking them all home.
yes. And I walk by this glass room and I see this cat with green eyes. And I'm like, you're mine. I just know I'm like, he is mine. He's been mine before. And
Hmm.
it's a frequency, it's a knowing like deep in the core of your being that it's
Hmm.
like our souls are meant to walk with each other. And now the more that I'm with them, I can see their archetypal energies and what they're teaching me. And also, I understand now why they chose us because there are certain life themes that they want to explore, right? Like my other cat, because I have three cats now, I'm a cat lady, he is a Lynx Point Siamese. He's 20 pounds
Oh,
and
he's probably gorgeous.
he could model. Man, I'm trying to get him a modeling gig, honestly, because like that would be cool. But
Cat Vogue.
yeah, right? Like maybe some free kitty litter from Pretty Litter. I don't know. That'd be so fun. Dang. But I've learned like it's interesting because he'll come up and I'll be sitting there, I'm reading a book, and he'll come up and he'll slap me in the face.
Okay.
I know, and I'm like, what is this? Or he'll chase me and run around chasing like in my apartment, which is terrifying because he's huge. And now I
He's like
realize,
Mufasa.
yeah, he's so big. I swear to you. And now I'm like, oh. It's because like he's a lynx point. He has this energy theme of like believing he's feral. And he
Ah,
wants to
yeah.
teach me how to be wild. He wants me to take him to the woods,
Oh, I
And
love
then,
that.
yeah. And then Fern, my tuxedo cat who we rescued from the Humane Society, he's teaching me about like honoring my energy and like stealthy like he thinks he's a ninja, man. And I'm like, okay, how can I walk with my darkness and my light with balance, you know? And I'm still, Aziza is brand new, so we're still figuring out her energy. I've also never had a cat who's so cuddly. And I'm like, oh, she's teaching me about softness, about surrender. So I feel like, and maybe this is the same for you, but now I see our pets so differently because now they're teachers and they're equals. It's not just me taking care of them and making sure they have a beautiful life. It's like, holy fuck, I can learn so much from you if I would just sit down and, look at
Mhm.
everything that you're bringing. So, have you had that experience?
Oh, 100%. You're speaking directly to my heart. This is my language, Ashley. Uh, but I it's incredible, I think, the kind of mutual sort of dynamic that happens with our pets. And I think I always saw pets as more than just that, but I never knew there could be such a depth to it. I think before I named her Bernadette, because she reminded me of a sassy lady, and Bernadette just seemed fitting. And it's funny because, like you, I did ask for her name. I'm like, what should I name her? And Bernadette immediately was there. Um, but that there's such a mutual dynamic, and it's funny because I think to echo what you said as well, we are also teaching them certain things. I've sat down with an animal communicator before, and she was wonderful, and she was like, she's telling me that you're teaching her softness, and you're teaching her, and there's also things about men because she hates other men, like runs from them, is petrified of them. And for whatever reason, she's always been very comfortable with me. So it's like this mutual sort of like I'm teaching her that masculine energy doesn't always have to be scary, and that the softness. And she's actually teaching me, about really holding strong to boundaries and things like that. And I love this conversation though because I think if we sit with it, we can learn so much from our pets and what they're trying to show us. I mean, there was a whole period of time where she was bringing me back, because she's always been indoor and outdoor. It's a long story. I didn't choose that. She came from another family, but um, she would go outside and she would bring me all these animals back, and I know why they do that, to like, here's a gift, but I felt like it was more than that. And when I tried to connect with her soul, I heard, I'm trying to show you that, it's okay to be in the death energy of things. Like you can let things go around yourself. You can cut certain cords. And I'm like, that's why you keep bringing me mice and bunny. And she's like, yes. I'm trying to show you it's okay to be in that death energy. So I love though what you said because I think we can learn so much mutually from each other if we're just receptive to it. Like anything else in the energetic world, we just have to be receptive to the ideas. So yeah.
Well, even, I mean, the death energy alone is profound,
It
I
is. And I
agree.
was going to say, it makes me wonder if during that time you were questioning your mediumship stuff.
Oh, well, this was actually the time I was in the said relationship that was
Okay.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
aligned, and I was questioning myself and my mediumship and
Yeah.
and all of it.
Yeah.
So she was trying to show me it's okay to let go of certain pieces of yourself. It's okay to put them to bed,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Okay. Cool.
My God.
which I think is amazing. So yeah.
When you, I wonder, when you're communicating with Bernadette, which also, by the way, I call Fernie Bernie Puddin' Pop, so I just feel that, okay? But like when you are communicating with Bernadette, and through your mediumship skills, actually, I'm curious for both of you. Are you seeing pictures? Are you feeling? Is it a knowing? Like, how do your gifts present themselves?
Yeah, I think for me, I work a lot through images, so like clairvoyance and things like that. With her, and in general for me too, there's a lot of clairsentience, so I tend to feel a lot of the thing, and then I have to articulate it. So there is a lot of that with her. It's less pictures with her actually. It's more like feelings and things like that, and then sometimes like a knowing, just like I don't know how I know, I just kind of know that. So clear cognizance, but yeah, those are I think my main three, and it connects similarly with her. Yeah, in that same way.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God. April, do you
Yeah.
have pets?
I don't. I have been completely pet free since 2016. Um, and that was a whole lesson in my path as well because I had every pet you could possibly think of. And at one point, I even had like, I think we had 16 dogs on the property. Yeah, so I had to decide that I had an issue with pets actually. And not it had gotten to a place where it wasn't healthy. And so I've since then been able to release that version of myself, and I no longer um, have pets in my life. But I still absolutely love pets, and they come to me with messages all the time, even from the other side. Like it's um, the my full-time day job, I get to work with my nanny family's pet, and he reminds me to be playful, and I need that because I'm super like firm and linear and like always so serious. So I do need the reminders to like loosen up and have some fun and be reminded that humanness can be fun because I really don't think it is. So I'm just like, yeah, so like I still and I will say I have had there was I want to say the first love of my life when it came to pets was my miniature dachshund. She was a long hair and I got her when I was 17. And she's a couple years old when I got her. She was a retired show dog at that point. And her name was Yaji, and I kept her all the way until she passed when I think she was 12 when she died. And she actually came back to me again in another dachshund form, but a short hair instead of a long hair. And her name was Chloe that time. And the time she came back to me, she was a little more attached to my son as opposed to me, but still within our same family dynamic. And so it's been one of those things where you recognize, you know when you know.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, that's so cool. I love that you tuned in and you could feel that presence and also honor the shift, right?
Yeah.
For that support. I had
Well, and she
m-
showed me, like she would tell me in my dreams. She would show up with Yaji. So she to tell me I'm the same, we're the same. She would show me. They'd sit next to each other and then they would merge. So that's how I knew they were the
God,
same. Yeah.
that is so
Yeah. So she was always telling me about it. But yeah.
Oh, I have a friend who was a client at first, and she had her dog of like so many years pass away this year, and she's clairvoyant, and she was devastated, as one is when they lose, you know, a part of their heart in that way, right? But he came to her and was like, I had to expand beyond this form because I'm actually one of your spirit guides. I can no longer help you on your path and on your journey in this way, in this form. I have to be so much more expanded. And like, I was like, I feel like I wish everyone could hear that message, you
I
know,
actually
because,
love that message because that's the same message I got from my dad and my daughter.
oh,
Like they both had a very similar message where they reach a point where like this is all I can do in this form. And in order to help you further past this point, I have to take a different form.
I just, it's so important that people hear messages like that, you
Yeah.
know, because of, and I know you guys work with grief and things, but it's knowing to your core and having experiences like that that's like, oh my God. It's like I know it's so hard that they're not here in the physical, but holy buckets how they can help you now and be support and like send you all of these things that they couldn't before, you know? It's just like so important. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. No, it's definitely impactful.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think it, not that it makes the grief go away or anything, because I mostly do work through mediumship. So I sit down with people all the time who have unfortunately lost loved ones and things like that. But not that it makes the grief go away, but it shifts it in a sense so that we can kind of see it a little differently. And for me personally, like I feel like there's, there can be purpose in that as well, where it's like, okay, I understand, like you needed to kind of be on a different frequency in order to help or aid in this way, or maybe it was just your time for whatever it just, and you needed to go on to the next level. And I think that can just help, and I've seen it help so tremendously with people kind of putting it into a different perspective, and finding maybe like the purpose in that way. And how that shows up is going to be different for everyone, but yeah.
I love your thought on shifting to a different frequency because when you start opening up and expanding more into being able to perceive and receive those more subtle frequencies, you are expanding into a new place, a new perspective, and then you get to experience so much more magic because you're open to it. You're already seeing and perceiving at that level, thanks to your loved one who maybe couldn't have brought you there unless they were in a different form, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard time and time again from people like I have a totally different relationship with my loved one now that they're on the other side, but it's even greater. It's even more expansive. And I think it's adjacent to what you just said. But yeah, I think it's to go back to what you said as well. Like, I think it is so magical when you are able to open up and really receive these things and really be in that space. Like, so many incredible things start to happen. And there is this part of me that wants everyone to know that and wants everyone, but I have to remind myself everyone's on their own journey and that's okay. But you know, I hope that people can experience that for sure.
And I think it's only going to keep happening more and more, especially when people tune into your stories, right? And they work with people like you and they get to experience your embodied wisdom. And when you have stories that hit you in your heart like that, you're like, maybe that's possible for me too, you know?
Yeah.
Like now I'm
Planting
more
seeds.
open. Yeah, totally. Planting seeds. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Did you have something you wanted to add, April? Or are you good? Just checking in.
No, I'm actually just sitting here observing at the moment. I'm all good.
Cool. I did want to bring up one more thing at least before we end up wrapping up at some point soon. But uh, you had a post, and again, this is very speaking my language, so I love it. But uh, on Instagram about self-care and how that is important, and how it's important because that is the energy that you are bringing into the world with you. And I always like to say to people, you bring your energy wherever you go with you. So, so very much like something out of my book there, and I love that you're spreading that awareness. Um, I know for me, this has kind of been a struggle. In some ways, I'm much better with it now, and I know I see it in a lot of people that I work with too. So I'm curious what you would have to say to this, but to the people who are kind of thinking to themselves like, well, there's so much chaos going on, and how can I care for myself? And like there are so many people hurting, and because I think very hypersensitive and empathic people struggle very much with this issue. Not that other people don't, but I think especially people who are hypersensitive and empathic, um, maybe thoughts again of like, how am I going to care for myself? Like that's selfish. I can't care for myself when look at all these people hurting. I have to burn myself out complete. You know what I mean? So and it's understandable and it's common and I've been there, but I'm curious like what you might say to someone that is kind of in that mentality, or how you might help someone in that space to try to maybe get them to a place that allows them to be a little more caring towards themselves. Excuse me. Does that make
Oh,
sense? I feel like that was
yeah.
a word salad, but
No, delicious. Thank you. Oh, that is so good, especially because everything is chaos right now. And it's like, how many fires are we going to have to keep walking through in order for the world to be like, oh, yeah, we're actually here to love one another and care for one another. And yeah, we're going to war and capitalism and everything else. I totally feel that. And the thing that has been helpful for me is that, and I don't know if you guys resonate with this or have walked this journey, but I grew up as a people pleaser for safety, you know?
Oh yeah.
And I gave so much of myself to such a detriment. Like, oh my God, when I came to people and they're like, can you help? And I was always, yes. And then I started getting so bitter and
You were the yes
resentful.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I wanted people to love me and like me. And if I was this version of me and they liked it, then, maybe they would still want to be in my life because I had underlying abandonment issues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, now the thing that has been absolutely game changing for me is taking care of myself first so that I lead with a full heart and that I can share from that place because my energy is completely differently, like way different. When I am feeling good and taking care of myself and literally taking care of myself first, like my energy comes first and foremost because I give differently. Like I have so much more abundance flow into my life that I can then share with other people. I think also something that's helpful is that we're not all here to play the same role. Some people are activists, and they're out on the front lines. Some people are healers and they're meant to hold space for people navigating generational, ancestral, present shit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like if you're not taking care of yourself and you're bringing your energy to a place that feels distorted or heavy, like that actually impacts people's field, as
Yeah.
you know, right? Like,
Yeah. It's a
so
huge disservice.
totally, totally. And I think people think self-care is so like flowery and it's like baths and things. And you're like, well, maybe it's shadow work and maybe it's journaling or maybe it's drinking water or maybe it's having a conversation with someone, or like going on a fucking walk, man. Like one of the things I heard a quote once that was like, don't trust your indoor thoughts, take them for a walk. The ones that you're spinning out in and all
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And that has been so helpful for me because I'm like, oh yeah, actually, when you're walking, you're scanning, right? What happens is you're moving through time and space, obviously, but this suppresses your amygdala.
Yeah.
So you're not in that, oh my, and then I come home and I'm so much more grounded. If
Yeah.
I'm having a conversation with my partner that maybe we're not seeing eye to eye or heart to heart, it's like I can process this and I'm coming from a full place.
Yeah. Like you're present.
Yeah, totally. But you gotta like take care of yourself. And some people like to be a martyr and they like to be a victim and they like to be like, I've done all these things for you. Why can't? And then you're like, oh
Oh,
yeah,
that's literally my mother.
well, it's like you're bitter and resentful because you choose not to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
no one can do that for you.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference too between self-care and selfish, right? Like you're not being selfish. Self-care's completely a priority. That doesn't make you selfish.
And I think there was one thing you said, Ashley, that kind of stuck out too, where you were like, you're scanning and the amygdala and all that, and you're not in that um,
Fight or flight.
fight or fawn or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a, how do I want to put this? It's such a thing that we need to acknowledge, like being in that space sometimes and kind of coming back to ourselves in that way. Or it's so helpful, I guess, to acknowledge that because I think, especially in our world today, and uh, trying to figure out how I want to phrase this in my brain, but I think there are certain systems or certain people or groups of people, however small they are, that do benefit in some way when we are in fight or flight or fawn or whatever it is. So I think one of the most powerful things that we can actually do for ourselves in the world today is, and just in general, but it's powerful on so many different levels, but is just to come back to ourselves in that way and center and ground our own energy. And again, then like we're talking about too, you take that wherever you go. Everything's interconnected and you affect other people's fields. So I really love what you said though about that piece of it, about kind of being in that place of you
Well, and
know,
then there's power in the present moment. If you're not staying
right,
present, then where the fuck are you? Like
Well,
you got
right,
to check yourself. Like where are you actually at? And if you're in 20 million different places, how effective you're going to be in any of them? You're not because you're like functioning at like 1% in all 20 places. Get the fuck out of here if you think
yes.
you're going to be successful with that.
Oh, oh
Like
my God.
wind it back in. Like
Yeah.
seriously.
Well, and I'm learning from a man named Charlie Goldsmith right now, who is this like profound energy healer. He's helped people heal from like fibromyalgia and help shrink tumors and all this stuff through his conscious focus. That's it. And there's a reason why they say in the spiritual realm that there's a war on consciousness because they want your consciousness fractaled. They want you
Mhm.
to be in multiple places. They want you to be spinning out in fear. I mean, the bias that's fed, the fear propaganda, the way that our foods are, like
Mhm.
the numbing out and the scrolling, they want you to feel fucking powerless. And yet we're all embodied gods and goddesses. Like we are literally here to remember that. And of course, that's why the system is so fucking loud right now. It's why there's chaos and turmoil. It's because we're seeing the last gasp of capitalism. Like, so that's why there's this thing around like rest is resistance. Taking care of yourself is one of the most powerful things you can do as a human being in a system right now that is actively crumbling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to go first, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. Um, no, I totally agree with that. And Charlie Goldsmith, he had a show, correct? On like, I think it was on like TLC or something. I think it was called The Healer.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. Okay, same guy. Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching that and being, I mean, it was years ago, but being fascinated. So that's really cool that you're studying under him or with him. Um,
Yeah. He
right? Yeah.
it's actually really interesting because I've never seen someone lead a business in this way where and this is why I was drawn to him is because he doesn't charge people for healings. He
Right.
he
Yeah.
feels called and well, obviously asks for consent and things, but what he does is he you pay to learn from him. So he has all of these like energy learning how to work with your energy, how to refine it, how to move it, how to feel it, how to work with someone else, how to be able to create your own diagnostic system to see, okay, like yes, this was powerful. Oh, they still have pain. How can we dial that? And another thing that I love is he always leads with like I can't promise you that I can heal you.
Mm.
I can promise you that I'm going to bring my best, but not everyone can heal in my presence and all this stuff, you know? And I'm just like, he's so grounded in the spiritual space, doing miraculous things.
Yeah, but I love that he acknowledges that he might not be able to have the codes for everybody, right? Like
Mm.
certain people have certain keys. And that might not just be, it might just be that I go sit in front of him and he can't do anything for me, right? But I love that he acknowledges that. Like he straight up was like, I might not be the key holder for you, and that's okay.
Well, I
Mhm.
think too, it's interesting because this might, fair warning, everyone, this might trigger some people. So, just if it doesn't resonate, just leave it, but not for everyone. But I think sometimes certain chronic conditions or things like that might be something that a soul feels like it needs to experience for whatever reason. And I only say that because I feel I can speak to that for myself. There has been, some health challenges chronically and things like that that I in retrospect and where I am now can look at it and go, I know why that had to happen and why my soul had to kind of bring that in. And partly just for me personally was because I was listening to no other message that my soul was giving me. So it was kind of like the two by four. And it was like, here you go. So and I say that in a playful way. I'm not putting blame on anyone or anything like that. Like we all have been there. But I do think to what you said that maybe, yeah, there are just some times where your soul wants to like experience this for whatever reason. I'm curious, actually, your thoughts, Ashley.
I, oh God. Oh, I feel this partially because, it depends. How do I want to say this? Some people incarnate through specific wounded templates that they're meant to heal, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And I know for damn sure in my family, it's all around GI stuff, solar plexus stuff, for sure. Like we walk through that and I'm like, okay, I can understand personal power. But now an interesting thing is for the past few years, I like had this red patch on my face and I'm like, what is this? This is new. And now I realize it's rosacea. And so I needed to see something externally about, healing repressed rage and, like how am I feeding myself? How am I nourishing myself? S Someone could tell me you're struggling with this, but when I have it in my body, it's different. And I'm like, oh, this is mine. This is absolutely mine to heal, you know? And like even if I never heal it, which could be the case. I'm so glad that I have this relationship with my body now where I can tune in. I can feel when things are off, you know? Like that's part of the process of being a human too. So I totally feel you with that, Lee. Like, especially chronic illness, they're messages, you know?
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that too about you just, learning how to better be in tune with your body and all that. And I think our body is constantly trying to give us messages that way. And again, sometimes it's on a soul level where I feel like the soul is like, yeah, this is part of your path. You need to kind of navigate through this. Um, and then I think sometimes it might be just messages that it's kind of leaving or whatever it is, um but to everything you said, I think it kind of all goes back to that we really are our own best healers. You know what I mean? Like we have all the keys that we need at any given moment to navigate and to process and to heal in the way that we need to. So
Yeah. Well, and like, what is more inspiring than someone who has healed themselves from something after like researching and meeting these people and these practitioners and then they find something like you said that's like key code, like you
Yeah.
found the key and then you get to be a living embodied example. And if you don't, like you can still extract the wisdom from it and help it serve your journey in some way, right? Like it's just to be a human is so cool and so confronting.
Oh,
So
yeah.
true. So
I'm going to
true.
add conflicting. I'm going to add
Yeah,
that in the mix.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure.
When I think just one more thing, sorry if that's okay.
No,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I if I didn't sit with myself and start paying attention to my body, I can only imagine what would have happened. Like for a very small snippet, years ago, I was on my favorite hiking trail and I was going to see my favorite tree, this goddess of a tree. Like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. I say hi to her, I hug her, I bring her treats, and I was assaulted and I didn't listen to my body. I had red flags happen. I didn't listen. I remember hearing things in my head that's like something's off. Oh, you should take a different trail. Oh, you should go up there because there's more people right now. Even though I had never experienced that before, I didn't listen to myself. And then I was like, never again will I not listen. Even even if it's silly or I feel dumb or I'm like they're gonna think differently of me, I don't want them to feel X type of way. I would rather never go through something like that again. And that experience helped me wake into my gifts and to see how the unconscious mind sends you messages and how I could feel things, I could hear things clairaudiently, so it's like it sucked. And if you listen to yourself now without needing to be in danger, that's great.
Yeah. I hate that you were assaulted. Um, but I love that you were able to still find the beauty in that lesson, the silver lining. And also it reminds me of Lee not listening to his own new like little nudge today and what happened. Like he got some immediate kick in the ass from not listening. So we just had that talk actually.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It wasn't anything. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it was
significant
nothing, it
in
was
the way
nothing
that
like yours, not to that
right,
extreme.
not to
But
that extreme. Yes, but
But it
but
still
yeah,
happened. And you were
it,
like, okay.
yeah.
yeah. And I actively ignored it too, even doing what I do and all the things. I was like, no,
Well,
So
and there, I even have moments still, knowing dang well we should listen to those nudges and the voices and all the things where I know that you're telling me this, my body, my guides, my higher self is giving me this message. I hear it, I feel it, I can't unsee it, right? But even though you're giving me this guidance, I'm still a human and I have to let this experience play out in order for me to kind of like learn the rest of the puzzle, Like it's just kind of part of the process. So it's not that I'm not listening. Those messages are still loud and clear, but I also still have to give this experience a chance to show itself for what it's going to be. Because that's also how I learn how to trust and continue to trust that voice that keeps showing up for me.
I actually really like I love that, April, what you just said, that, continuing to learn how to trust. Um, I'd like to add to that for me personally, so I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but I do feel like I have this version of myself that's kind of stubborn and kind of rebellious, and I need to give that version of me a name. I don't know, something diva-like, but uh but that will hear something and like today, like the whole thing today was I was on a walk and it started sprinkling raining and then I immediately heard like it's going to downpour, but if you head back now you'll make it. And so I did. I started to head back and then I got back to the area and I'm like, it's not downpouring. Like, so I'm like, I'm just going to go walk up that way, like whatever, it'll be fine. And sure enough, when I'm like 5 minutes away it starts to downpour. So I feel like when it's little things sometimes like that too. Like I have this kind of rebellious version of myself that sort of is still figuring out how to be seen and heard. And sometimes I'll get a message and I'll be like, yeah, I know you're right, but whatever, you know.
You got to
So
honor it though.
I
Yeah.
don't know if any of you can resonate with that, but that came to me as you were talking, April.
I mean, I definitely I can relate to that in the sense that I've got a rebellious streak too. But
Mm.
also sometimes like I said, you know the nudges there, you hear the voice and you might just shelf it for a minute and see how it plays out. Like, okay, cool. Well, let me see how this plays out because maybe it is that rebellious side. Maybe we just want to know. Like, can I trust you today? Just because I could trust you yesterday doesn't mean I'm in the same place today. I don't know if I can fucking trust you today. I don't know. Let's
Well,
find out,
the
you know?
curiosity is so strong. Like,
Right. Like, it's like, let's see what
yeah.
happens.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think it's cool because at the end of the day, no matter what, you're honoring yourself, whether you choose to listen or not. You're honoring the experience for what it could be and what unfolds, and you will always get something out of it, no matter what. So I
Yeah.
think that's magical.
Well,
Beautiful.
and I can even say like based on like, like maybe you're entertaining the idea of getting into a dating situation with somebody and the voice is like loud and clear. Bad idea. Red flag 9 million into. So it's like, no, don't do this. But without human proof that this person is going to be this red flag because you don't even know them, you haven't given them a chance to show up in your story, you have to almost give it a minute to see what happens, no matter what you know, right? Like, okay, well, let's see what happens. And then sure enough, it's like, okay, I should have just listened, but now we know.
Now we know.
Yeah, now we know.
Part of your story.
Yeah, right.
Hmm. Gorgeous.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Ashley, you have been a freaking absolute blast.
I know.
Oh
I
my
know. I
God,
second that.
so fun.
We covered so many things. Oh my God. We went
I
on a
know.
journey, you know? Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. Also, is there anything that you want to share with the audience before we pop off of here? Like the fastest way to find you? Any last words? Like,
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. Um, I am on many different social platforms because why not create? But you can find me at it's ashley.mondor on like TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and Threads and blah blah blah. Blah. I have two podcasts. One is called the Free Your Heart podcast, where I'll jam with you guys after this, April and Lee.
yeah.
But I really love bringing on magical people who have gifts to share and who like teaching how they access their gifts and what works for them and things like that, because I think it's important that people have role models and can serve as living examples for our mirror neurons, right? Like there's a specific reason why the telepathy tapes are available to our consciousness right now, and it's because we can access that. Outside of the Free Your Heart podcast, I have a secret podcast, although it's not that secret unless you join my email newsletter list, and it's called Insightful. And if you like my vibe here, hanging out with you guys, like Insightful is the place where I am so fully expanded. Like we talk about like the quantum realm and death and like what I'm moving through as a human being to give people permission. So if you like stuff like magical things and ghost stories and stuff like that, like come jam with me there
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's really fun.
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Love that.
Thank you for having me on today and letting me connect with your energies. And like also the fact that you looked at my Instagram and you pulled through some of my stories makes me want to cry. Like I feel so seen. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Seriously.
yeah, no, you're so welcome. Yeah, and thank you for sharing them because obviously, I found them positively impactful. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Ashley. We're going to go ahead and stop it right here. So thank you to our listeners, and we will see you next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on Own Your Essence. We're so grateful to our guests for sharing their wisdom and to you, our listeners, for being part of this journey towards healing and empowerment. If today's conversation resonated with you, we'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share this space with others who might need it. If you have any questions, topic ideas, want to be a guest, or would like to work with myself or April privately, send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll see you next episode.